Well, we're back in the man cave again. Welcome back. It's still been a bit longer than I intended, but this is the next one in my Northumberland series, shall we say. This is going to be part one of two parts, to be honest, because I got every intention of doing the coastline in one video, but there's so many points of interest. It'd be over an hour long if I put it all in one, so I'm not going to do that. And my big weakness is making videos too long, but it is what it is. So this one, we take a little run up to Anik. Yet again, I've got problems with my camera. My camera chose not to record a 10-minute section. I think it was because my memory card was nearly full, and these cameras make their own minds up sometimes. But either way, I've missed 10 minutes of really quite nice roads out, but I wasn't going all the way back up there just to rode those few miles again. But suffice to say, I went down into Anik and had a look around Anik, and it was a good look around Anik as well. I just hope you find it interesting. So yeah, see what you think. Set part 2 will be very shortly afterwards, and that'll be down on the Northumberland coast itself, the sort of sea houses, Bamborough, Holy Island in particular. So yeah, see what you think anyway. Oh, by the way, Moorland Biker has got a new toy. I don't know if you can see it. I've got an e-bike. It's replaced Thumper as the e-bike. Of course, at least this one will keep me a bit fitter, or in a bit more pain, shall we say. But anyway, yeah, so I intend using the e-bike for little local trips, and hopefully try and include it in my videos, see if anybody's interested. But yeah, anyway, watch this one through. It won't be too long before part 2 comes out, so see what you think. Thanks for watching again anyway, and as usual, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, and if you've not already, then if you could subscribe, I'd be grateful. It does help my little channel. Thanks anyway, cheers, bye for now. Well, good morning people, welcome back. It's been a bit of a late start for me today because I've had to wait for the weather to make its mind up. It hasn't really matched the forecast, but then why should we be so surprised? I just left the Dunes Hotel to head north up to one or two of the villages in Northumberland, fairly near to the coast. But there's a little feature here at Whitley Bay that I just want to have a look at. It's not what it used to be exactly, but the frontage is still here. It's a feature called Spanish City. Spanish City was an early version. They've changed the road system again. It didn't really rival Blackpool Pleasure Beach, but all this here, when I first came up here, this was all fairground rides. All that's left of Spanish City as it was is this this frontage, and I really want to try and get a photograph. Something like that. Spanish City. This was the entrance to what was quite a development, quite a leisure development, a pleasure development, I should say. There must be some Dire Straits fans out there, because Mark Knopfler wrote a song based on Spanish City. Tunnel of Love it was called. I'm not going to sing it, but suffice to say, this was the place that gave him the idea, because Knopfler is a Tynesider, as we know. So yes, this is a Spanish city. I'm just going to get a photograph while I'm here. Incidentally, Whitley Bay hasn't always been Whitley Bay. It started to become a holiday resort back in the late 1800s, and it was decided that to encourage people to come to the right place, because people were mistaking the place for Whitby further south, because this place was just Whitley, Whitby. You can understand people making that mistake, but so they added the bay shortly after 1900. Well, photograph suitably obtained, so we'll head a little bit further north. Just one very brief little stop before we head off towards Anik, in actual fact. What I'm going to try and fit in this afternoon, because it is afternoon now, is a visit to Anik, see houses, Bamborough. We won't be going into the castle, but at least we'll be seeing the castle. And if we can catch the tides, Holy Island, but let's see how it goes. You can see St Mary's Lighthouse across on the right. Just going to have a little trundle across towards the lighthouse, have a closer look at it. It doesn't work anymore. It's like so many on this east coast. They've been decommissioned, mainly because of the usefulness. Let's sort these teeth out, shall we? The usefulness of electronic navigation aids. Apparently we no longer need lighthouses flashing to warn us of the rocks, because everything's on electronic charts these days. It's nice to see the lighthouses. I mean, those who watch my videos are probably only too aware of my fascination with lighthouses and bridges. But when I was doing my coach tours up here, every week, or at least most weeks, when I came back off one of my excursions, if it was sunny, I'd bring the coach across here so that the passengers could have a closer look at the lighthouse. There is a causeway across to it. We're not going to go across to it, just get a closer look, and also so they could get themselves a cup of coffee, or even an ice cream. And the van's still here, that's nice to see. Glance into the past. So that's St Mary's Lighthouse. There's been a lighthouse here. Oh, there was a priory on St Mary's Island centuries ago, and the original light was just a stone built, very basic lighthouse built from stone from the priory. Then this one was built during I think it was the early 1800s. Either way, St Mary's Lighthouse. So now we're going to head across got to head across towards the A1 and on up to Anik via a little detour. So I'll switch off for now and I'll see you later. Well, I spared you the A1, which is a motorway in all but name really, just a boring road. We turned off onto the Gold Street Road, the A697, and this takes us up onto the moors above Anik, and it gives us a really nice run down off the moors, and it's the nicest run into Anik in my opinion, my very humble opinion. But it's not the best of days admittedly, but at least it's not pouring with rain. Now we're just coming towards a village, village of Long Horsley. It's a fairly unremarkable village, nothing wrong with it. It's just that way back in 1875 there was a grocer here. His name was Thomas Bell, and he was a grocer and something of an inventor. And he played around with all sorts of different mixtures. And what he actually came up with, he played around mixtures of baking powder and flour, plain flour it was just then, and he came up with the first ever self-raising flour. So this is where self-raising flour was invented, here at Long Horsley. Like I say, his name was Thomas Bell, and once he'd perfected the stuff, he marketed it under his own name as Bell's Royal Self-Raising Flour. Bell's Royal, you can still buy it today. Biro, that's where Biro comes from. I knew you'd be impressed. Personally, I'm a home pride man. The reason I say that is that in my family circle, my mint potato pies are legendary, so I'm told. And the reason they're so special is the pastry. Again, so I'm told. What they don't seem to realise is that I normally make a mint potato pie after I've been working in the garage, you know, cleaning the chain on the motorbike, or, you know, changing the oil or something. It's just a nice way of getting the grease and oil out of the fingernails, isn't it? You know, kneading the pastry. Not really. So anyway, that was Long Horsley. So we'll carry on north and make our way to Anik now. It's not too far. So this is Edlingham Church of St John. This is not in ruins at all, of course. Beautiful, beautiful little old church though. Like I say, of Norman construction. Brings us to a view over the ruins of Anik Castle. Really is nice here. Really pretty surroundings. Okay, on to Anik. So let's make our way into Anik now. Like I said, it's a beautiful stretch of road is this. It's a real rider's road down into Anik. It's a misty all day though, at least the road's dry. Well, as you can see, we're coming into Anik now. I've just had to stop because my memory card was full. How? I don't know, but either way, got a new memory card in now. Now, the feature that Anik is most famous for, I suppose, is its castle and gardens these days. Anik Castle, ancestral home of the Earls and latterly Dukes of Northumberland, the Percy family, and the Duchess, the current Duchess, in actual fact, has developed the gardens dramatically, and they really are a sight to behold if you go in the place. But Anik itself, it's just a beautiful little town. It's a walled town. And it's got a marvellous marketplace in the middle that we're just coming down to. So we'll have a little run round the middle of Anik, spelt Alnwick. And we'll have a little run out to have a look at the castle. Oh, see, the old cross has changed its name. We're going to have a look at that on the way back in a minute or so. So there we have Anik Castle. It always struck me how the little strange statues were arranged around the battlements. I'm glad I'm not doing that job anymore, I really am, although doing that job is what gave me my experience and my knowledge of the Northeast, to be honest. I'm going to get a photograph. So yes, this is Anik Castle. You can see this is the main entrance. Really, you can see above the archway. You can see the lion rampant. That's the emblem of the Percy family. Probably the most famous of the Percys was Henry Percy. He became the first Duke of Northumberland, and the word Hotspur, he's responsible for that, because his nickname was Harry Hotspur, and the reason he gave him that nickname was because of the way he had a propensity to ride as fast as he possibly could to repel Scottish invaders. So that was Harry Hotspur, or Henry de Percy as he was. And it always has been in the hands of the Percy family, and still is now. But I suppose it would be wrong not to mention the connection with Harry Potter. Yeah, it's used. I think it's used in virtually every Harry Potter film. I never watched Harry Potter films, so I can't confirm that. But yes, it is so famous for its inclusion. In the films. Anyway, I'm just going to get a quick photograph, so bear with me. Photo obtained again. Now then, we're coming round to what used to be called the Old Cross pub, but is now called the Dirty Bottles. Oh, the Old Cross is over the window. It's called the Dirty Bottles because of this window here. It's in a bit of a state. You can see, just about make out inside the window, some very, very dusty, dirty bottles in disarray. The story goes that many, many moons ago the landlord was arranging the bottles display in the window, and he was taken ill and died of a heart attack. But before he passed away, he swore that if anybody touched those bottles in the window, they would go the same way as him. So allegedly those bottles had never been touched, and that's the legend of the Dirty Bottles. So we come back through the town centre. It is a beautiful little place. Is Anik. Always used to enjoy my visit here. That's the market square on the left. Now I'm going to stop in Anik and get myself a bite to eat, a bite of lunch. And I can think of worse places to stop than outside the White Swan. The reason for that is the White Swan is famous for its dining room furnishings and its staircase, because they are from the RMS Olympic, which was the Titanic's sister ship. So inside there they've got the dining suite, or the dining room shall we say, and staircase that is exactly the same as was in the Titanic, but that's the White Swan anyway. So I'll switch off now and I'll switch back on again when I've had a bite to eat. See you later. So you got to try and imagine this on a massive sailing ship crossing the Atlantic. This was out of the RMS Olympic, sister ship to the Titanic. Quite impressive. So that's it. We're leaving the centre of Alnwick through this marvellous entrance archway. But one or two other things to mention before we leave. We are recording, aren't we? Yes, absolutely. This is a marvellous war memorial with a member of each of the armed forces represented by a statue. Over the way, the wee bungalow, not in the way of anybody here, the wee bungalow is a cottage that was built as a result of a bet. Wager Cottage it was called, and it was the Duke of Cumberland of the Northumberland of the time, Duke of Northumberland of the time, we're talking what, maybe 200 years ago, was a drinking man, and he frequented the pubs in the village, and he got into a discussion with a local builder, and he said, I bet you couldn't build a house in a fortnight, in 2 weeks. And the builder rose to the challenge. He said there was a bet made, and sure enough, he built the cottage within the 14 days of what his bet, and that was Wager Cottage. There is some suggestion that that was the first ever bungalow, because it was getting towards the end of the 2 weeks, and the builder said to his men, just bungalow roof on. No, never mind. Okay. Up on the right was where I used to go for a cup of tea, and I usually ended up buying a few books. It's Barter Books. That was the railway station here at Anik when the railway came through. Barter Books, very famous bookshop these days. A Friday afternoon is a busy afternoon in any town or village, I suppose, isn't it? We're talking 3:30, so the kids are coming out of school and all sorts. But there's just one more feature I want to point out before we leave Anik, and it's something called the tenantry column. Back in 1816, the Duke, the current Duke, probably the same bloke who had the bet about the Wager Cottage, he reduced the rents to his tenants So to say thank you for reducing his rents, his tenants paid for and had built the column you can see over the way with a lion on top. That's the tenantry column, to commemorate the Duke having lowered his rents. In actual fact, the Duke who lowered the rents actually passed away before the tenantry column was finished. There is a story locally that when his son took over the reins, the new Duke so to speak, when he saw what they'd been able to afford to build, he raised the rents again, but that's not true apparently. So anyway, that's Anik. I hope you can see why I find it so such an attractive place to visit. We're going to head west over towards the coast again now, over to Sea Houses and Bamborough. The entrance to Anik Gardens, which they're a separate entity to the castle to be honest, is here on the left, and you can't really see into the gardens, but the Duchess has made a fantastic job of them, with walkways up in the trees and all sorts. And she built a few tree houses for the kids. Made a good job. A lot of help from the Lotteries Commission though, but she did make a good job, yeah. Oh, another story from the past has just hit me. Oh, I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably 15 years ago, probably, I don't know. I was working out of the Marriott Hotel at Gosforth Park, and the usual run out to on a Thursday was out to Alnwick, Sea Houses, Bamborough Castle. But on this particular day I got two ladies sat in the front seats to my left, the very front seats, and when they got on the coach at Anik to travel across to Sea Houses, I could tell that one of them wasn't on top form, shall we say. And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yes, I'm fine, it's okay, I just have a touch of angina," and it just causes me a bit of a problem now and again, but it's okay, I'm fine. Okay, so I thought I'd better keep an eye on this lady, and all the way across here, coming across here, I'd got her in my rear view mirror, and this lady was getting greyer and greyer and greyer, and eventually I thought, I can't take a chance with this. And I'd got my Bluetooth headset connected to my phone, and I dialed 999 and very quietly requested the ambulance, told them the situation, requested the ambulance, and I told them what I was doing. I was on the coach heading for Sea Houses from Anik, and the operator said, just take your foot off the accelerator, slow down, and just keep an eye on the rear view mirrors for the blue lights coming up behind you. Don't panic anybody, which I didn't. And sure enough, within 2 or 3 minutes, the blue lights were behind me, and just along here on the left hand side, I indicated to pull in, and I said, I'm sorry folks, just got to pull in and check something out at the back of the coach. And I got out the driver's seat, walked to the back, spoke to the ambulance crew, and they said, they said we better go and have a look at her. And they came, and the lady wasn't very happy at all, but she really wasn't very well. And they said, you've done the right thing here, but don't move off from here, because we'll be taking her away by air. Pardon? The air ambulance is on its way, and I tell you, within 5 minutes, the whirlybird was landed in the field next to us, and whether she liked it or not, she was having a ride in a helicopter, and we whisked her off to hospital. And I checked on her, and yeah, she was under observation, the last I heard, whilst I was on the trip. And then it's it's one of those things, you know, these things happen, so you just take it for granted. Everything's okay. And eventually, about a month later, a letter came through to the office, to the company's office, and they took a copy of it and forwarded it to me, and it was from the lady concerned. She still wasn't happy. She said, I've been told by my family I ought to write and thank the driver of the coach, Martin, who called the ambulance for me. I'd just like to let him know that as a result of his actions, I've had a triple bypass, and everything's okay. Life is made up of these little incidents, particularly the life of a coach driver. Incidents that I will never ever forget. Anyway, just another bit of useless information. Now we're in amongst a bit of traffic, so I'm going to switch off until we get closer to sea houses, because I'm fairly sure the battery is getting a bit low, so I'll switch back on as we get closer.